Hi, I'm Jordan Cho, and I've traveled to 30 countries and 25 in the last 3 years. And over all of that time, I've spent about $1,000 a month traveling, which includes everything from flights to accommodation to food to transportation and even activities. Most people think that traveling is super expensive, and a lot of people ask me, especially Americans, how I can travel for so cheap. So here's my complete guide on how you can travel the world for less than $1,000 a month. First, the easiest thing that you can do that will automatically make your spending go way down is travel places that are off the beaten path. Touristy destinations will always be at least triple the price of anywhere else. So that means try to travel places that are outside of the US and Western Europe. Or even if you do want to go to those places, go about an hour outside of the city in the main tourist areas and prices will drop drastically. Next up, we have accommodation. There are actually so many different ways to save money on accommodation, and even get accommodation for free. The most common way to save money is by staying in hostels. And as an American, I had no idea what a hostel was until I started traveling. But basically, they're usually like bunk bed dorms that fit anywhere from 4 to 8 people. And sometimes they have rooms up to 12 or 20 people, but usually it's around 6, and then there's one bathroom for everybody to share. And although this might sound scary to some people, and I definitely have met some weirdos and some people who snore really loud, it's a good way to explore since you don't spend that much time in the hotel anyways when you're traveling. It's also a really fun way to meet travelers from all over the world. And I've stayed in hostels for as cheap as $3 a night in Bukit Tinggi, Indonesia, or $8 a night in Santa Marta, Colombia, with a pool and free breakfast. You can find a really good hostel almost anywhere in the world for less than $20 to $25 a night. Next, if you really want adventure, you can get this app called Couchsurfing, where you can stay at somebody's home for free, which is usually just in exchange for friendship or language exchange. So if you do that, make sure you spend some time with your host to make it worth it for them too. Or there are a ton of apps that arrange what's called a work exchange. And basically these are opportunities where you can go work for usually 3 to 6 hours a day, and in return receive free housing and food. By doing this, I was able to stay for an entire month in Klaten, Indonesia for about $100 to $200. Some examples of work exchange are Workaway, Woofing, Worldpackers, or even house sitting. Usually you only have to pay a subscription of about $40 to $100 a year to become a member of each service, which is really not that bad because you'll save a lot more than that. And the final option is for people who don't want to work and also want to stay in the same place for a long period of time to really explore and get to know a place, and that is Airbnb. A lot of people don't know that on most Airbnb listings, there's a daily price, a weekly price, and a monthly price. And the monthly price can sometimes be 30 to 40% off. By doing this, I spent a month in Lucknow, India for $340 a month, including breakfast every day. And also a month in Malang, Indonesia for $240 with a swimming pool. Next, eat local food. Instead of going to fancy restaurants and eating more Western food, eat street food. And if you're scared of that, my biggest tip for eating street food is to look for places that are very popular. Odds are, if there's a ton of locals eating it, you probably won't get sick either. And the next one is my favorite tip. Learn the local language. Not only is it good for meeting locals and making new friends, but vendors almost always give you the local price because 1, they think you probably understand the local culture better, and 2, because they respect the effort that you're putting in to try to make their life easier. Locals also value friendship with you as a foreigner who speaks their language. They will often give you things for free, take you to the best spots in the area, and even give you rides. And my last tip, use public transportation. And walk more when you can. As an American, I had never used public transportation in my entire life until I started traveling. And honestly, I could not believe how cheap and easy it was to get from any city in a country to any other city. Almost everywhere outside of the United States has very reasonable public transportation for fairly cheap. In fact, I took a 6-hour train ride in Bangladesh for $3.50. And more recently, a 3-hour bus ride in Indonesia for $1.50. I would almost never recommend renting a car or hiring a private driver. Not only is it more expensive, but in my opinion it also takes away from meeting local people and having local experiences as well. If I really need to, I'll usually rent a scooter for $4 to $8 a day depending on the country, just to go around the city or to go to some nature spots that are just outside of the city. So those are my 5 biggest tips for traveling cheap. Like I said, I've been traveling for about $1,000 a month, but if you really want to, using these tips you can definitely travel for much cheaper. And if you're a traveler, please leave any other tips that you have in the comments below. So thanks for watching and go see the world.